my name is Philip Rentsch. We are in East Luther, and I'm a dairy farmer. At its basic, I wake up really early, milk cows, clean up after cows, feed cows, or in my case now, make sure my robot is feeding cows, and then do it again. So my milking system is called a parallel parlor, and basically what that means is that the cows come in and they turn 90 degrees so that I milk them basically in between their rear legs. I milk twice a day, and the way we do it is we prep with an iodine solution. We let that sit on there for about 60 seconds, we wipe it off, and then hook up the milkers. My average right now is about 30 liters a day per cow, but that's an average. The range goes anywhere from 15 to 50. In Ontario, we're basically organized on a provincial level, so all the milk gets pooled, and then actually the provincial organization is responsible for delivering milks to various processing plants. There's individual farmers have very little to do or nothing to do with that. And this is different on every farm too, but I feed my cows what's called silage, and basically that's feed that's put up wet, and I store them in upright silos, which just makes it, for my automated feeding system, makes it a lot easier. So I feed a lot of corn silage, and that's basically, instead of just the cob, it's the entire plant that's chopped up really small. And then I also feed some alfalfa haylage, which is a type of grass, some grass silage, and then some grain, and that's a mixture of barley and dried corn together. And then the last thing I feed them is a protein pellet, and I get that made, and that's tailored specifically to my herd. With my automated feeding system, I feed based on need. And what that means is there is a preset level of feed that is always going to be in front of the cows. When it gets lower than that, my robot senses that and then mixes a batch of feed and delivers it. My robot goes around every 45 minutes to check to see how much feed is there. So there is, I think, a popular misconception in the general population about agriculture being very small farms, manually labor intensive, and to a certain extent it still is. Like anything else, there's a trend to getting bigger, more efficient, more mechanized, simply because there are less people around that want to do manual labor, and that's really been driving a lot of the automation that's happening in agriculture right now. I still do plenty of work with pitchfork, but at the same time I have a tractor or a skid steer that really makes my job of cleaning out the barn a lot easier. It's like any other business. We're modernizing. We're always looking for more efficient ways to do things, because it's a hard life, and so if we can make things easier on ourselves, we generally do. Another one is that, cows, they're outside all the time, and that's a big myth, because quite frankly, my cows don't want to go outside. They're wearing a insulated leather jacket all year round. So if it gets to be over 15 degrees, they really appreciate the fact that I built them a nice airy barn where they can be inside and just hanging out. I mean, it's great. I like being my own boss. I like the fact that my commute is, a minute or two, depending on how late I am. I can make it faster. But I would say there are so many spin-offs. If you like doing almost anything, you can work in agriculture one way or the other. But there's lots of opportunities for trucking, in terms of milk trucking, feed trucking, hauling away grains. I also have a company who helps with maintenance of the milking equipment, of the feeding equipment, of my tractors and such. I generally need an electrician, a plumber. There are almost an innumerable amount of career services. I have a veterinarian, a feed nutritionist, and a lot that I'm probably forgetting still. I will say around here, so East Luther, and in the dairy industry, there's a lot. We're bucking the trend. As a general rule, dairy farmers are, I think the average age is somewhere around 50, but around here it's quite a bit younger than that. And so that makes it really interesting, because I mean it's nice to work with people around the same age. It's also a real challenge because there's a lot of really good farmers around here, so it certainly keeps me on my toes trying to keep up with them.